I tweeted from the RCR and then, but it was a while ago.
Okay, I will retweet it right now.
I'll do that.
I
Why am I-
retweeted.
Okay,
I'm
it is
currently
betweeted.
busily killing all kinds of apps because like things are like weirdly choppy for me at the moment. Which is all too bad.
That's not great.
I don't know what's going on here.
Only app I have open is Chrome and Sound Studio. So if it gets choppy, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything that has any sort of like computing power. I suppose actually the thing is that the things that don't have a face might well be doing complicated stuff in the background, but
Oh, it looks like I don't have Audio Hijack open. Whoops. Only doing one recording.
what
used
would
to
you have
say-
been recording with?
Sound Studio. I normally do Audio Hijack and Sound Studio. I am
Sound Studio
paranoid.
is by the Fission people, right?
I think so.
Little
It's
green
by...
icon.
Yes, that's them.
I still use
Oh, yeah,
this
felt
audio
it.
recorder. It's an audio editor recorder called Amadeus. There's Amadeus Lite, Amadeus Pro. I downloaded it first like in 1999 for OS 7 or something, and the guy has kept it updated. I paid $10, and I still have access to it.
Wait, there's an
pretty
Amadeus
good.
Lite, and they didn't just call it Salieri. That is a missed opportunity there.
You're right about that.
Oh, come
I'm
on.
gonna have to email that guy and suggest that. You're right. That's horrible.
Also, just as a reminder, we are now on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff we talk about beforehand. It just doesn't stop when we hit the go button.
Right. It's the same as during.
I guess that's true.
It's slightly different topic, like material, but like
Yeah,
slightly different subject
same
matter.
level of organization.
Yeah, very very
Yes.
similar.
Okay, I'll just go.
Do it.
All right.
It's April 19th, 2020, and welcome to episode 212 of the Retro Computing Roundtable. The RCR is a podcast about retro computing news, nostalgia, collecting, staying home, calling 1200 baud, New York City BBSs, and so forth. I liked that joke based on the 212, but probably 9 people understood what I was saying.
I got it.
Okay. But anyway, I'm Paul Hagstrom in Boston, and I am joined by 3 other retro computing enthusiasts. To my right is Blake Patterson from Northern Virginia. How are you?
Hello. Doing well. Glad to be here again. Just pretty used to sitting at this desk in front of a camera and talking into a mic. Been doing a lot of that lately, but just went for a walk. Very nice outside in Northern Virginia, and yeah, so here we are.
Yeah, indeed. And south of Blake is Jack Nutting in Stockholm. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. I've just been sitting playing a computer game all day long, which is pretty rare for me. So that was, it feels like this was a very good day.
Which game is that?
Sinking City on the Nintendo Switch. It's a Lovecraftian investigator adventure thing. You're in this weird city where like half of it is flooded, and you like are exploring weird things and investigating what is up with weird, crazy monsters and shit. And I mean,
Sounds
stuff.
interesting. I'll have to
Monsters
look
and
into
stuff.
it.
Yeah, it's good. It's on most of the platforms, like all the newish consoles and PC. Also, I think probably not Mac though.
I'll grab the Jaguar version.
Yeah.
Right. Get some
No, but I
OS9 ports
bought it
going.
for Switch just the other day. It's actually half price, or it was then. I don't know if it's still on sale, but
Excellent.
it's fine.
And to Jack's west is Carrington Vanston in Toronto. How are you?
Indeed. Doing well. How are you guys?
Pretty good. I don't know if actually, I'm not sure if there is such a thing as a person's west. I think it's just west.
I'm west.
All right.
I want to play
You get to
Sinking
did it.
City.
So who here got snow? We got snow yesterday.
Nope.
Really?
Okay. Okay. Just me, I guess.
Just you, Paul. Ha, sucker. Oh, yeah. In fact, you can kind of see out the window behind me. No snow.
Wow.
I guess that's what made me think of it, but I can't see.
Yesterday afternoon, I went out for a walk in shorts, so that's strange.
Doesn't mean there wasn't snow.
That's right.
I'm a Canadian. That tells me nothing.
For full transparency, I'll say shorts might not have been the best choice, but still, not snow.
Yes. Shorts is half transparency.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we let him host.
Quite.
Oh, sorry, we make him host.
That's right. Oh, that's nice. I turned off my device. Okay. So the host's topic today, I guess this may not have, I guess this was not announced on the show here because this happened in between the time we recorded last and the time we are recording now. But Kansas Fest has made the call to be a virtual conference in July. And so there's still kind of announcements coming out about that. But it seemed like it might be a good time to maybe just sort of think a little bit about, in the context of the retro computing events and gatherings and things like that that we go to that are now going to have to be conducted sort of, not as a gathering, not in person, but in some kind of online way. I thought it might be just kind of interesting to think about like what kinds of opportunities we have to do things. Like part of what I was thinking about was just that, it might be possible to show things that don't travel well, that kind of thing. So I don't know if anybody's had any chance to think about this. Maybe I'll pass this off to someone who wants it.
I can go. I haven't thought about that at all, but I think it's interesting because I think that because one thing you could do is you could have someone who has a time slot for having a video stream at their home, like you said, stuff that it's hard to bring, and saying, here's this thing that I've set up that I've been working on that I, would have been hard to haul across the country anyway, or just to there are probably people in the community who have really nicely displayed collections of things, and just to have sort of where they're kind of the host and people can ask questions, like what is this? What is this thing in your collection? How do you use this thing? What is this about? That kind of thing.
So kind of like a VCF table.
Yeah.
Or something analogous to VCF table.
Yeah. So yeah, you host. Yeah, you have your own table that you're hosting at home, and because it's online, everybody can see it instead of just people who actually are there in the crowd.
Yeah.
That could be actually pretty cool.
I do like that advantage of the there are a lot of I know I have a bunch of stuff that there's no practical way to bring it, and I don't want it to get whatever smashed by United or whatever.
Right.
Which I think is their slogan.
Yeah. Blake, I think you were about to say something.
No, I've given it, a little bit of thought. I guess I've been, as I said on the introduction, I've been doing a lot of, it's sort of coincidental, but we've had, at my job, I'm in an IT department, local university, and it was, we do cold fusion development. So we've had some online, 4 days of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., online training sessions. So, instead of being in a room, we were doing it from here, which worked well. So I've done, and of course, being, still luckily and happily able to do my job in this time. Everything has been online, day to day for me and the people I work with. But that's not really the topic, guys. We're leaning that away towards the retro. I think I think Jack had a good notion when you're like things like Kansas Fest or VCF. There's a lot of things like I actually have been meaning to go to. Closer to me than Kansas Fest is VCF East in Wall, New Jersey, and I almost made it a couple of years ago, but the next year I had an idea, but it was difficult to take the things I was going to take. I think I was going to do a Unix thing with Next and HP or something, but I was thinking, well, am I going to, carrying this? But if you could have a time slot where you set everything up, and you could walk people through in your home, like the machines behind me, that's something that I could easily do. And you could do that at a lot of events, like it doesn't have to be, I know, there's VCF East, West, North, South. There's others too, I think. But, you're not restricted, geographically. And, being a person that, BBS is, as we talked about in a couple of earlier episodes, an idea I had was, if you had, even specifically for the event, you could set up like here's a BBS that you log into, and here, this is the transcript from are some presentation or even an IRC channel. Hear notes that are happening while something is going on. You could have interactive. I could see myself being a big BBS guy. Not that I host one, but I could see myself setting up something, and this is my table, so to speak, is BBS, and maybe so it's some things that it seems like it basically is an opportunity for some new angles. I mean, there's certainly getting together in person and touching the hardware and going to the destination. I mean, I think that's part of it, makes it an event. I haven't been to Kansas Fest, but that sounds like, from what I've heard, the physical presence for the week, it sounds like, that would be hard to replace online. But, it seems like, and then moving forward, it seems as though it could only help if, when we get back to having, traveling to events, to have them augmented by whatever it is that we might have figured out in the meantime. Which again, I think, stepping back from the retro is the way a lot of the things are going to work professionally in the world, and moving forward with electronic conferencing. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kansas Fest has historically been very good at that the last few years, having a camera set up during presentations and streaming. So a lot of people who can't attend still get that partial experience. So that's one event that has kind of already been doing a bit of that. Mm-hmm. I think there's pros and cons to this, many more cons than pros. The one small pro, the little bit of good light, I guess, is that if there's an event that you couldn't go to for whatever reason before, like I wasn't going to be attending Kansas Fest this year for the same reason I wouldn't attend last year. Now I can. So in a sense, Kansas Fest suddenly became available to me in a way that it wouldn't have been otherwise. But a lot of people simply can't travel or couldn't travel to a particular place or particular time, or immune compromised before this or whatever. So lots of reasons why somebody couldn't go to Kansas Fest or VCF or whatever. So having these things available, I think that opens up some opportunities that wouldn't have existed. So that's one nice element. But I do think that's maybe overall completely outweighed. Like selfishly, it's good for me. I get to go to Kansas Fest this year. Downside is it's not the same thing. Like Kansas Fest is all about being there and those terrible showers and the smelly people and just being like in the, like we always say, like it's about the people, it's about the experience of Kansas Fest, and that won't be able to be replicated. So, but at least there's going to be something, so that's cool. I think Paul touched on a really good point, that there are some things, even when an event is going on regularly, that you couldn't do. Like you're not going to lug major elements of big iron to a VCF, for instance. So let me bring my 3 tons of computer there and set up refrigeration. So there are some things that would have to be done remotely. And maybe this is the year that's the focus. Like focus, if you're VCF, you want to say, okay, what are the things we wouldn't have been able to do anyway? Let's do those this year and get in touch with people all around the world who have massive things or something that never could have flown them in for a VCF. We would have had to done it this way. So maybe we can get a little creative, and hopefully it's just a 1-year thing. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know to what extent people are thinking that like this is turning a corner into like doing things like this in the future. I still kind of think that this is the way we deal with not being able to do it. But there are things, I do think that there are ways that we can kind of do nifty new stuff. First of all, I think there's going to be a lot more kind of content available. Like as more things are online, it's going to be more easy to go to more of them, and things like Kansas Fest were difficult anyway, because you have to block out a week, and travel and stuff. And so that will be more available. I think about what Blake said about BBS has made me think that it would be actually kind of funny to do a sort of stream where you have both ends of the BBS, so you're communicating at 300 baud, across the continent, but yet, streaming both ends.
I like it.
Yeah, that's sort of ironic or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, it certainly would be fairly easy, I think, to do kind of just like talks in webinar type, environments where you can just sort of like the sessions that I remember from the past Kansas Fest or whatever, someone gives a talk, you ask questions, that sort of thing. But there's also a little, kind of sub events that I think it would be nice to still have such things. Like people, Kansas Fest is the main one that I go to, so that's one that I think about. But there are like little, there's a little room where people play D&D, and Carrington acts completely erratically.
That's how you play D&D. That's how I roleplay, man.
Right. But
The things like Kansas Fest, and maybe to a lesser extent, a lot of other retro gatherings are in large part about the keynote speaker and the sessions. And those are things that can be replicated and streamed or whatever, like sitting in an audience, watching it, sitting in front of your computer, watching it. Same kind of thing, just maybe better snacks. But the other stuff that really make an event, like hanging out in the hallway and the communal stuff, that's maybe a little different, but hopefully can be replicated through IRC, through other sorts of means. We got to bring back Second Life servers or something. I don't know.
oh yeah, I kept flying around and did nothing else in Second Life. I would learn how to fly and then I would quit the app.
We can all just log into like World of Warcraft or something like that. It's just, okay, gather here. We're doing it. And you can pick a thing and just do it inside another kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Commodore, space? Oh, I forgot the name of that. I think it was sort of related to I'm almost
Commodore
Quantum
Space,
Link.
Quantum
the
Link.
hellhole.
Quantum Link.
Yeah. Yeah, we could all sign into the revised Quantum Link, and
Yeah, that became the Apple thing, right? Or that became AOL, right?
I think it did, yeah. But I also think there's some sort of modern project to kind of put some new servers
there
behind
is. Yeah, I think there is.
it. That would be actually a pretty cool thing to do. But
Because a lot of those like MMORPGs and stuff, most of them have free 1 month sign up things. So easily Kansas Fest or VCF can say, we're hosting this in WoW. Go get a free account. You only need it for a month. And just roll up a character, meet us in the valley of whatever. We're doing it there.
That's true.
And if a talk starts going long, then the audience can start attacking.
Just kill them. Exactly. You talk till you die. That's the way we're going to do it.
That's right. Yeah. Another thing I was thinking about too. So this is the kind of debates that we have about possible technical problems. I mean, like the thing is that when you're at any kind of event where you have a presenter with a laptop trying to present something with a screen, it works 82% of the time.
That's a very specific number.
I mean,
also a suspiciously high number from my experience.
Oh, you think? Yeah, well, okay, yeah, but I mean, like, there's always failures.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about now everybody on their own, possibly feeble internet connection, connecting in some way, it seems like the points of failure have increased a lot, and so there's also at least a possibility of doing things that are a little bit less synchronous. That. You could pre-record your talk. You could, but
I am mostly pre-recorded. He said from the past.
That's right. Please leave a message at the beep. Ha, fooled you. This is the beep.
Ha, fooled you again.
But yeah, I mean, I think I really do like the idea of being able to sort of stop someone and say, "Wait, did you mean the X register this whole time?" or say this is a great
Right.
talk or whatever. Where
because that interactive thing, if somebody's doing wrong or whatever, it makes it more present. And then as the speaker, you can say, well, first of all, how dare you speak to me? Second of all, no, I meant the Y register. This is the hill I'm going to die on.
That's right. But yeah, and I mean, I guess actually too, there's just sort of a psychological difference if you're just talking to your webcam. It's just not going to be as engaging to like
He
to see
said
the
into his
resulting video.
webcam.
Well, I can see all of you though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like if it's just you're talking,
Ha!
yeah. So I think there is some benefit to kind of knowing that there are people there judging you.
Yeah.
There are people here judging you.
That's right.
We have a comment in the live stream, hi Tobias, saying it's the first time he's listened to us live and we sound weird at 1 speed.
That's right.
I can
We all
speak
sound
faster.
Slightly drunk.
I'm trying desperately to speak slower.
Yeah. No, I think I've mentioned that before, that this happens to me. I used to listen to Car Talk all the time. I sort of have stopped, but and even though they're still things on the feed, I guess they must be mining, sort of old recordings or whatever. But it was really weird to like then go on a car trip and listen to them in the car live on the radio, and they really did sound very slow. But
I actually, do you typically listen at higher speed? I actually don't.
I don't either. I listen at one time.
I listen at one time.
Yeah. Being immortal, I've got lots of time.
I guess that's true. Who are you now? Pineapple Pokeball.
Oh yeah, that's just today's tick villain. I have selected Pineapple Pocopo. For those listening at home, I put my name in as a different tick villain every time we record.
I didn't know where you pulled those from. That's good to know.
I Google tick
Find
villain and to remind myself of all of them. And then
Move to page 3 of the
yes,
results.
basically that's it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I had anything myself further that I wanted to kind of talk about. It's, I think we will, I'll be interested to see what other people, what people do with their various events. I know that pretty much everything through the end of summer is going to be either canceling or doing some alternative thing.
It will be very interesting. And because of this, I mean, again, that's the only upside. I do intend to attend way more than I normally would. So I'm going to try to take advantage of all of these because why not?
Yeah. I'm with you.
I'm crashing every party. You're on notice, retro computing people. I'm coming for y'all of you.
Zoom bomber, right?
I am the Zoom bomber. What bombs at midnight?
Okay, so maybe we can move along to notes of listener feedback here. Did we find a different host gift idea? Because that was
I got one.
I have one.
Huh? Then it's yours.
Let's use that. So it stopped being feedback. Okay, end edit point. But okay, so on Facebook, Yakov posted some images of a compact Contura 430 CX notebook with Win95 and Word 6 and said that it said use it also for writing novels. And do you use old computers for something more or less practical? And I thought, that's kind of cool. That's kind of a cool thing to put on the Facebook as kind of like a conversation starter and have people kind of talk through these things. And in the sort of comments to that, John replied saying that he used an IBM portable to test an old LaserJet. I think it was just recently to that comment. But I think Steve won by replying that he's using a Commodore 64 to learn guitar, using it to write tablatures and robotically control a guitar to hear the music and show where to put my fingers on the fretboard. And
that's pretty cool. That is pretty amazing.
So I don't know if you guys actually looked at this, but this thing is amazing. This thing is ridiculous.
It sounds like something Jerry Ellsworth would do. Didn't she have she's got a bass that's a C64, right?
It's a guitar playing machine.
Oh goodness!
Wow.
I'm looking at it right
controlled
now.
Controlled by a Commodore 64.
Gotta get a band together.
Quite something.
That is, yeah. It's being shown on the live stream.
That is tremendous and amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's audio, of course, and stuff.
I love it.
It's almost frightening that someone has done this.
Yeah, so I think I'm not sure that it's actually sort of useful in real life, but
it is.
I do like it.
That's incredible.
So I'm not sure that this robot playing guitar for him is going to help him learn to play guitar.
No, I think that might be a bit of a stretch.
I was just pondering that. I thought, wait, I'm not sure that's gonna. Yeah, but still, in its own right, it's
amazing.
impressive.
Yeah.
The best part will be he can now basically build a band. Like now make one on bass, make one on keyboards, make one on drums. And then eventually all the robots get together and vote him out of the band. And it's like, what? And they go on tour without him. It's a sad story. I've seen it 1,000 times.
Well, there is some guy who's made like a robot metal band. Have you guys seen this? I've seen it. It pops up for me on YouTube or something now and then. It's like he's got like, roughly human-sized robots that are built much more than this because they have heads and things. They have bodies they don't need just so they look like a band so they can do this.
The heads that can bang. Yes.
And there's a drummer with many, many arms hitting all the drums and stuff. It's
sort of octopus type drummer.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I will have to look for that. Perhaps we can find a link to put in the show notes if it is family friendly enough.
Oh, it's totally, it's very good. Friendly for all.
Awesome. So on Facebook, Anthony pointed out something which I thought was kind of interesting as well. So this is kind of cheating, I suppose, in a way, but it is it's an eBay auction here. I'll increase the size a bit. It is Computer Sport Athlete Interactive Fitness. So I'm sort of jumping ahead to eBay picks early, but this was not my pick. But it's a thing that what does it say here? Being physically fit is no longer a fad, but is a way of life. Unfortunately, the problem with exercising is the boring and monotonous workouts. So what this is, it's basically just a little device that you can, I guess you play it on your computer, and I think it connects to your. I actually didn't look carefully enough at this now. I realized, but okay, so it doesn't actually provide you with the exercise equipment. It just provides you with the thing to occupy your
connect
brain.
it to like a bicycle or like a home like biking machine, and then you can do work. Basically, Nintendo said, "Hey, this is a great idea. Let's build our infrastructure around it."
I thought that was kind of cool.
This is amazing. I did not know that this existed back then.
No. So, I mean, I guess if you're missing bike riding, I kind of thought that there was actually some sort of like pedal device included in this, but I see that that's not what this is. What a terrible place for your computer to be, though, actually. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I'm
I
going
was
to put
just
it in
looking
front
at
of
that
the bike.
dresser that it's sitting on.
Desktop.
Be even better if it was just a regular game, but the computer's powered by the fact that you're bicycling.
Yeah.
Gotta go till I save. Bike.
Yeah.
Haven't saved, must pedal.
I imagine you could do that though with like a Raspberry Pi or something, right? I mean, like something that doesn't actually require significant power.
It's right out of Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so that was interesting, and I thought an excuse to sneak an extra eBay auction in.
Because you didn't have enough of those.
Right. Mark wrote on Twitter, and maybe I should. Well, I'll say this, although I think it's probably Earl that is most interested in this, because we were talking about this NMyGen thing, which is basically it's kind of a helper for creating like FPGA type stuff. And it's I think it's written in Python or something, as I recall. It's just basically it helps you create. But more easily than Verilog and so forth. And so Mark wrote on Twitter and was sort of, he wanted to look at NMyGen, thought it was maybe a little bit light on documentation, but pointed out a tutorial that is actually probably pretty, that he thought was pretty good in terms of like trying to learn how it works. So if you are intrigued by our previous discussion of NMyGen, I think at the end of one of the previous episodes, whenever Earl was on last, then this might be a way to learn more about it. So anyway, credit to the people on the IRC, apparently, the NMyGen IRC, who told it to Mark, who told it to us.
Cool.
Oops. Okay. Anthony wrote on Twitter, he spoke of being in high school with a Novell NetWare 211 XT network and a 286 file server, and sort of talked about his exploits. They seem pretty exploity, I have to say. But basically wrote a keylogger in Turbo Pascal to get the admin passwords, and then replaced all the things like Multiplan with games like Alley Cat and Sopwith and Network Snipes. And then later tweeted some photos of him in those places, because he said he was a nerd enough to actually like take photos of his old IT hangouts.
I can respect that.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, we were talking, I think, a couple times ago about how we wished we had more photos of such things.
Definitely.
Very much so.
And let's see. Oh, yeah, and I guess the last thing that I will mention is just before, and I wonder if I can find the tab that I put this in.
Sure you can. I believe in you.
Thank you. So, yeah, just before we recorded, we got an email from Alain, and so he was talking. Basically, last time we had this auction for it was like an Apple II connected chessboard, right? And so Alain wrote to say that he basically wanted to share some of the information about this, the company that makes this. So. First of all, he said he'd never come across this before, although Applied Concepts is a well-known manufacturer. So that's interesting in itself. I mean, somebody who is a collector in this space had not come across that thing. But he sent some pictures of one of the more famous of that company's products, which is the Sargon 2.5 chess set, and you can see, so I've got that on the screen here, kind of small, but you can see that it is basically the same company, right? I mean, like it's kind of made the same way. Can I make that bigger? A little bit. So except this is a standalone thing, so it doesn't you don't plug it into a computer. It just does it itself, and it's based on Sargon, the Sprachlen chess game. And then also send a picture of a nice wooden auto response board. Same sort of thing.
And again, auto response isn't necessarily moving the players automatically. It just lights up to say you move, and then it knows where you moved, and then it lights up accordingly. I think there was some discussion on Twitter about whether or not these things are magnetic or not.
Yeah. So what Alan says in the email is that with this kind of board, moves by the player are usually entered by pressing the departure square and then the arrival square of the moving piece. The wooden board had reed switches activated by magnets in the pieces themselves, which could detect a piece being on the corresponding square. So it is as the Twitter conversation suggested, that there are little reed switches inside the board. So the board itself isn't magnetic, but it's responsive to magnets. Anyway, yeah.
Interesting.
So you can still use all the pieces to demagnetize the floppy disk. So at least there is something in that box that can kill a floppy disk. That's the most important thing.
Right.
Thank goodness.
And then he sent a picture of the Prodigy standalone chess computer, which is basically, it seems like this is the same thing as what that auction was, except that without the Apple II part. So it's just it's got its own brain. And I guess there was some kind of discussion about so from a strength level, Prodigy is rated higher than Sargon 2.5, but nothing extraordinary. But anyway, so that was interesting. It's interesting to see, the other things in this space. And Alan also, I don't know if I have a way I don't think I put this up, but anyway, he mentioned that he had a Kansas Fest 2017 Hackfest entry, which I think made Sargon 2 play itself. So he sort of hacked the Sargon 2 program to submit moves to another instance of the Sargon 2 program, if I remember correctly. But anyway, and I think so. He linked to a YouTube video, which I didn't get a chance to look at, but I think it is it must involve one of these boards, since it seems to be related to this email. Has anyone looked at this? Okay. Anyway, so that's, I think, the feedback. And so now I guess post feedback, we can go into the items of interest in news. And Carrington has the first of these.
I got T-shirts. So we were talking about different events going online and becoming virtual or whatever. And VCF is offering T-shirts. So the VCF events, as they say, might be canceled or postponed or whatever. But they say, don't be socially distant from this T-shirt. So it's $20 and it's a VCF, like a VCF Ed, VC Fed, I guess we pronounce VCFed.org.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah, VCFed.org. So it's a neat T-shirt. It's the green CRT, or you can get it in an amber version as well. It's $20, and buying the shirt helps support the VCF world. It's kind of neat. So sucks that things are postponed, but the shirt would be cool to wear.
Yeah, it's a good design, I think.
Yep.
Quite nice.
I really, really like the idea that it's available on Amber too. That is hilarious and wonderful.
Yep.
Say
Amber,
it's green. The shirt is black, I guess, and the artwork, the line art is green. Is that right?
Yes, that's how I see it as. Yes,
Okay.
Black shirt with either green or amber, very glowy sort of designs on them, and I dig it. I dig the design, dig everything about it. I like the shirts. This easily could have been a host gift idea, but is instead an item of interest.
Okay. Yes,
Very
but
nice.
Because it's
feel
a
free
slow
to
news
consider
time.
it a host gift idea.
Slow news.
Excellent.
And
Okay.
only $20, so that's pretty good.
And Jack, you have FujiNet reports.
Yes, I have, and I have a screen to share already. So we've talked a few times about FujiNet, which is a device that's being built for Atari 8-bit computers to do a variety of networking things. And the latest sort of fun trick they've done is find a way to do HTTPS, which is tricky.
Oh, goodness.
Because you can't really do it on a 6502 in a reasonable way. So the device that's in the FujiNet hardware itself, it's some kind, I forget what the name of the CPU is. It's some sequence of numbers and letters. Mm-hmm. And this device is powerful enough to do HTTPS. So what they've done, so what I'm showing in the video here, is sort of a DOS prompt where they're opening kind of a port to twitter.com over HTTPS, and then there's a special set of things they have to do. It's not. This is very much a work in progress kind of thing. What they're going to do is have a certificate store on the device. So this device will, just like a web browser, it will be able to say, okay, I have this root certificates that I know about, and therefore I can authenticate that this server is doing the right kind of thing, just like your web browser is doing all the time. So in this case, that's not really in place yet. So what he's doing here is he is setting up a special sort of command sequence to tell the device, okay, I'm going to load you up with a certificate right now. And so he has the certificate stored on a floppy or on an image of a floppy, sends it over to the device, which is just connected to the SAO port. And that is enough for it to be able to then talk to Twitter and say, okay, I've got this certificate that seems to work for HTTPS to this website or to this URL. And then he can do a fetching bytes for that. And so you get unencrypted serial stream of bytes that comes through to the Atari, which is pretty cool. So here he's doing it. There's a sequence where he's got to sort of first tell it. He's got to put it in cert mode to say, I'm sending you a cert. And he's got to take it out of cert mode to say, I'm not sending you a cert. Now I want you to actually fetch the data for me. And then he reads chunks of bytes at a time. It's a pretty cool demo. The demo is only about 3 or 4 minutes long.
But still, that's a pretty good proof of concept, because one of the downsides to the most retro computers' way of getting on the net anymore is you can't go into anything with secure sockets.
Right.
In fact, we've recently talked about that website that exists to just say, here's a list of stuff on the net that's not secure, the dwindling number of places you can go to. So this is cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is really, really promising. I mean, it works. And again, obviously, this is not going to be that useful for what he's doing now, grabbing an HTML page full of JSON and stuff like that, and JavaScript and things. But that's okay. The point is to be able to fetch data off of servers that are HTTPS secured. So
cool. So what I lose track sometimes of what the plan is, but I thought this was essentially a way to make it like a network drive, right? Like, so eventually it's an addressable N drive,
right? And that is already working through a different protocol.
I see.
That is, I forget what it's called. It's some protocol I think already existed for the Spectrum to do a similar kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And they took that and used the same protocol, maybe made some kind of adaptations. So right now already you can, with this device, you can apparently boot it up and tell it to connect to a server on your LAN or on the internet to fetch a disk to boot from. So that much is already working. This is more about being able to do more things that involve talking to a standard HTTPS server.
Right. Very cool.
So, yep, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I should say, I mean, like, so Tom Cherryhorn does post regularly on our Facebook group, and I haven't. It's kind of counterintuitive, but because there are so many updates, I don't mention any of them. but I do appreciate them, and we should mention them from time to time. But if you haven't gone to the Facebook because you were afraid there weren't enough FujiNet updates, never fear.
And it's really fun to see the progress and to see what's going on. And it's all open source, so you can sort of download it and check it out and contribute if you want. They want help with people working on software that's running on this microcontroller specifically, which is all just done in C. So it's not really a retro task. It's more networking and protocols and that kind of stuff. So it seems pretty fun.
Yeah. I'm nodding, and then I'm realizing that's not a very useful thing to do in audio.
And I guess that ultimately one thing would be, so right now they have this special protocol they're using to be able to fetch stuff from another server, but that requires that server to be running, something that does that protocol. Whereas if you could just have an Atari disk image on a plain Jane web server and have this thing just fetch it and boot off of it, that would make it so much easier to deal with. And I guess that's a future step.
Excellent.
I presume.
Okay, let's see. Blake, you have a more rogue news.
Yeah, I've got it's just a little item here, but it's something. It occurred to me. I've been having a little bit of fun with this since I was last here. We talked about roguelikes, I guess, a couple of shows ago. I think, but anyway, there's a online game it's kind of like Steam. It's a little network called itch.io, and indie developers, kind of push their stuff through there. I don't think they have. It doesn't have to be exclusive, but anyway, I keep an eye on it. They have really inexpensive indie stuff, and often they can be name your own price, which can be free, which is the case with this game. It's a roguelike called I don't know. I really don't know how you pronounce it. It's called Atgtha in Absurdia. Does anyone have a better take on that? ATGTHA. Anyway, it's the original Rogue game, and the clones that came shortly after were all text-based. This is a graphical game, but it renders renders text characters. It's like a fancy font type text-based game, but the little characters are animated. There's bouncing, and there's a little bit of graphics added in, and the whole screen tilts and wobble. It's very visually fun, I think, but while keeping the kind of the old aesthetic. It's pretty straightforward as far as roguelike gameplay, but I think I paid like $2 for it, but you can download it for free. There's lots of roguelikes out there, and they're coming out frequently, but this one I happened to come across, and I've had fun with it, and I recommend it. I think it's definitely for Windows and Mac, and it might also be for Linux, but it's worth checking out. It's fun, and it feels old school. So, but that's my little bullet for this episode.
Cool.
Okay, let's see. My thing is this is very interesting and weird. So this is Project Sphinx. This was written up on inexhibit.com by Riccardo Bianchini. Not super recently, but I only came across it recently. This is basically a computer that was developed in the Soviet Union. Basically, it was sort of a prototyped by what is it called? It was a kind of like an aesthetics. What is it? Where is the somewhere there is a discussion of what it the place that anyway, it was Technical Aesthetics magazine published these photos of the Sphinx, but it's basically this 1987 idea of a computer that's sort of like a kind of a full home integrated thing. So there's some kind of nice pictures of it, and some discussion of the actual designer who I think currently is in Canada but was born in Russia and set that up. And it's so first of all, it's very visually appealing. I mean, so. It's all made out of these little triangles, and there's little 3 modular sort of cartridge things that you put in that I think have sort of memory in them.
It is 80s, and it is not ashamed of it.
Yeah, it actually seems like something you'd see on a set in 2001. A Space Odyssey.
Or late 70s even. Yeah,
I think even more 70s.
Yeah,
it is pretty beautiful. But so it includes so with the main sort of desktop part, it includes a keyboard that has an optional phone, and there's a TV that you put elsewhere in your house, but it's all sort of controlled by this one device. There are sort of detachable speakers, and there's a little headset. There's a little ball speakers that hang near the TV. I think there was somewhere in one of these. There's a sort of a image of this thing set up in a house. Here, maybe it's in the Medium article,
or maybe set up on the set of the Buck Rogers TV show because it would fit in perfectly.
Yeah, it is really cool though, and I mean, I think that part of the thing that's neat about it is just that this is all stuff that we kind of do now, right? I mean, but this was 1987, and it was kind of clear already then how you would do this. But it's all done in this really elegant way. I mean, like it's all these like geometric. It's all kind of based on triangles. Yeah, I guess here is a picture of a sort of a home layout with the TV in one room with a little ball speakers, and the main terminal elsewhere.
An orthogonally rendered home representation. Yeah.
So anyway,
it's really, really cool.
Didn't know a thing about this before.
Nope.
But
so this was a Soviet thing you're saying? Or this site saying? Is that so?
Yeah.
Is that why I never heard of this, I guess?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So that's part of the thing, is that it's sort of like behind the Iron Curtain. but this is Dmitry Azarkan is the one who basically designed this whole thing, and they keep a couple of different articles refer to it as a home ecosystem, a smart home ecosystem, but it seems somehow smart home doesn't really conjure the image of what this is. It's really kind of
fascinating.
Integrated
One of my favorite
computers.
things is if you look really closely at the photo of there are those two ball speakers you're saying that hang. They look like massive Christmas ornaments, holes drilled in them. Those are the speakers. They hang from the ceiling, presumably, with these cables. But if you look closely, they're not regular cables. They're spiral telephone cords, the kind that would be spongy. So I can imagine you could reach up and grab these things and pull them down and have them be bouncing around you. I want to play with these.
That would be pretty fun.
Yep.
Families can use the system.
I've never heard of this thing before. This is absolutely new to me.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this.
Yep. This is cool. People who are just listening, as most of you would be, I would strongly urge you to go and check out the show notes and look at this link because this stuff is very cool looking. It's very different than I've seen before. Neat.
Yep. So
Blake, how many of these do you have in your collection?
I've got 3.
You have 3? Okay, excellent.
I'm sure Paul.
It fits with the
Paul has
triangle
one on his shelf. Paul may not know that he has one.
Yeah, Paul has a couple. He's just unaware.
That's what that is.
Yeah. Like I saw this triangular thing on the floor. But
Awesome.
no, I'd never heard of this.
All right. Carrington, you have something about Atari?
Oh, yes, I do. So Blake, a couple minutes ago, was talking about itch.io, which is a great place to find indie games and stuff. It's also a great place to find online stuff if you're looking for just like free games to play online. Lots of HTML5 things there that are available for free. It's one of my go-to places if I'm bored and I've got an hour to kill and I just want to play a game online or something and check out something different. It's a good site to go to. But a thing that you can do now is you could go to itch.io/jam/links2020 and enter the Atari Links 2020 programming contest, which is on now. So if you have an idea for a Lynx game and can implement it either singly or as a team, then you can enter this contest, which is open now. You submit through effectively opens April 15th. Opens as of April 15th. Submission deadline is August 15th, and then they'll do votes. Top 3 prizes or top 3 places in the competition will all receive a Lynx Go cartridge, which is like one of those little cartridges you can load up with a bunch of ROMs, so you can have like all your Lynx games in one place. And then first prize also gets $150 US, second prize gets $100, and third prize gets nothing but the Go cartridge. But you also might get your game published by Atari Age, and so you'd get multiple copies of your own game as well given back to you as a published version if you are selected as one of the top 3 winners. So pretty cool. I like the Lynx. I had one back in the day. I really only played like 3 or 4 games on it. I played a lot of clacks. To me, the Lynx was the clacks machine. And then I had maybe 4 or 5 other cartridges, but it was all about clacks for me. So you can write the new clacks. You can write clacks 2020, get yourself published.
That's great. That's fascinating. I know there are emulators for the Lynx, so I imagine whether or not you have a Lynx, you can probably end up benefiting from what is generated. I actually went and pulled out my Lynx for those that are only on the podcast and not the stream. I've got the Lynx, which I actually found in my wife's childhood bedroom closet when I went over to visit her to meet her mother for the first time. She showed me the room that she'd grown up in, and in the closet was a Lynx. She's like, "Oh yeah, someone gave me this, but I never opened it," and she had no interest in computer things. So I got
said yoink.
Yeah, it's new in box Links, but that's great. I hadn't heard about that competition.
Just open it up. So it's pretty cool. And so there's some rules involved, one of which is it has to, unlike a lot of competitions where you can submit just like you're working on a thing, whatever, this is for completed things. It has to be a complete game, totally runnable. Because I guess the idea is it's something that maybe could get published. Doesn't have to necessarily be an enormous thing or whatever, but it can't be just an idea or whatever. You've got to be able to actually launch it, run it, play an actual game, and then it's a neat competition. No limit to the number of people in teams or whatever. If you want to enter with multiple people, you can also enter more than once if you want to do multiple entries. Prizes are all just 1 per item though, so you'd have to pick among your team how you're going to divide things up if you wanted to. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, so it's a competition open now. Hooray for new games for old machines.
Yep, that's awesome.
Very cool.
Excellent. Okay, I think I have the last of the news items, which is not a nice one, but nevertheless, it seems like we should mention this at least. So John Conway, who everybody's going to know, as the author of The Game of Life
Yes.
has passed away.
Yes.
And ultimately, I think occasionally when you would have asked him, he would have kind of hated the fact that this was the thing, this little dumb thing, was the thing that basically defined his work. I mean,
yeah, because he was the guy all about knot theory and stuff. He did all this great math, but everyone's like, "Oh, you made that little game." He's like, "You're killing me."
yeah,
Yeah.
But so there's at Princeton University, there's a pretty long kind of obituary article about the stuff he's accomplished and so forth. He's also, let's see, got a number of tabs here. New York Times has another one that's both of them are quite long. I mean, and detailed and interesting to kind of read through. XKCD made a nice sort of memorial as well. Let me run again. Anyway, here it is. Also, people should read XKCD if they don't.
Yes, they should.
So there are a number of episodes on Numberphile, the Numberphile videos. This one that is on the screen is the one that it's entitled "Does John Conway Hate the Game of Life?" Which is part of what I was saying, but it actually shows him kind of like describing how it's supposed to work and like the kind of loose connection with biology that makes it go. I'm sure because it's such a simple thing, I'm sure most people have some experience with it, and also possibly even some experience with like writing it on an 8-bit machine or something.
Yeah.
It's something you can do. But it also has these really sort of interesting, predictable properties, so that you can make sort of like quite large computers with them.
I tried to research a bit about him, but the problem is if you have like any 3 tabs open about him, then one dies and you need at least 2 tabs. Anyway,
That's right.
Oh, Game of Life.
You have to have like a CNN one in between or something.
Right, to keep it going. It's it's very difficult to research this guy.
That's right.
Tab rules, and then my computer just going across the screen.
Yeah.
As a result of his passing, I saw someone post a link to a description. I don't know if it's his description, but it's someone walking through a description of how to implement the Game of Life using the APL programming language.
Oh, nice.
Which was really fascinating because basically they built it up piece by piece, and at the end, the entire sort of algorithm for calculating the state, the next state of the grid from the previous state, is one line of code. It's a fairly dense line of code, but it's one line because it's just a function that takes as its input the previous state kind of and produces the new state in one line. It's pretty wild.
And it's completely untypable on a normal human keyboard.
Yes.
Exactly, with CPL.
But there's another thing. Let's see. So, what is this? The Guardian. There's a number of. He was very well known. So a number of quite large publications had articles on him. So what I'm trying to bring up here, I guess that's the thing that I closed. I knew I closed some tab, but so I think there was I've lost track of what it is. Anyway, one of the other things he's known for, doesn't really matter where I found this out, but is the Doomsday Rule, which I didn't know about before today, but it's basically just an algorithm that allows you to calculate the day of the week of a given date. Is this familiar to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
No, not to me.
Okay. So I didn't know this, but it turns out that it is actually true that April 4th, June 6th, August 8th, October 10th, December 12th, and the last day of February are always the same day every year. So it's sort of using this in a little algorithm, he sort of basically figures out a way to compute, like, where is it? There's you figure out something about the century anchor date, and then there's a little thing that you do with dividing by 12 and using the remainder, and then dividing by 4 and doing some other stuff that can help you figure out basically what day of the week it is. And apparently he was able to do this in something like 2 seconds. Usually you just tell him a date and he would be able to tell you it was a Tuesday. Never did get the hang of Tuesdays.
Nice.
But anyway, I thought that was sort of interesting. And actually, I don't know if I have this in another tab, but Lewis Carroll had a similar one sort of more poetic.
Except it involved a lion and some really shallow.
Yeah, so Lewis Carroll's okay. So you take the date given in 4 portions, and you do basically or whatever. It ends up summing them together. If it exceeds 7, divide by 7. Do some division, take the remainder, multiply the remainder,
Feed it to a flamingo.
But the thing that I think was actually kind of interesting is that when you get to the month level, it says if the month begins or ends with a vowel, subtract the number. And I mean, I guess it works or whatever, but I think that is fantastic.
That is fantastic. Nice.
So anyway, but so I learned about various algorithms for computing the day of a date based on this.
I think a lot of people
Sad
forget
news.
that Carroll did a lot of math stuff. He wasn't just writing weird books.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I think that he was largely a mathematician in his own mind.
Yeah.
So, okay, and I think where are we now? Oh yeah, that's right. I think we've made it. If we made it through everybody's items of interest, is there
That would be
nothing
the
interesting
upcoming
left?
shows. What's still going ahead?
Nothing. Yeah, I think we need not.
Yep.
Oh, in fact, I don't even see that section in my. Oh, here it is. I thought I just removed
But
it altogether.
basically, things are online, and well, Paul, I forgot you're on the Kansas Fest committee.
Yes.
So, has there been a decision made about the kind of tech that will be involved? Are you allowed to talk about it? Like, is it a Zoom thing? Is it just presentations? Is it too early to discuss things, which is also fine?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've been talking a little bit about what to use. I mean, I think something Zoom-like is almost certainly going to be involved. Something that can do a kind of multi-person live conference with responses and that kind of thing. So it's possible to ask a question, a voice question, and that kind of thing. So we want there to be some kind of interactivity. There are a few different Zoom-like platforms. It doesn't have to be Zoom, and there are pros and cons, with any of these platforms in terms of like corporate behavior, right? But yeah, I mean, so I think the last thing that we have been saying, I think, is essentially that we're basically going to keep an eye on everything because it's not very close to July yet. I mean, like we had to make the decision about like whether people had to buy tickets and that kind of stuff. But I mean, like ultimately, I don't think we could have made a different decision about going ahead because pretty soon the venue would have said you can't do it.
Right.
But they hadn't said that yet, actually, oddly. But anyway, yeah. So even though we had to make that decision soon, we can still get pretty close to the end point before we make the call on what is the video conferencing software.
That's one advantage over, I mean, not a lot of advantages to any of this, but one advantage of this sort of thing happening now versus say 10 years ago is conferencing stuff is fairly robust, even if it's just things like GoToMeeting. Like I've been in GoToMeetings that have 700, 800 participants because there's only the one person sending out the video and everybody else is just in chat mode. So at least there's a lot of solutions available that can like stand up to a bunch of people being involved in it. So I guess there's that.
Indeed. Okay, so right, I guess it is now time for a word from our sponsor.
Zoom.
Yeah, right. I didn't open up the tabs for this,
Open up all the tabs.
but I should because it's cool. This would have been an item of interest, or I think it came from feedback too. Though I forget. Oh, it was a tweet or something. I apologize.
What is it? I don't know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It's a book.
Okay.
And any moment now, I will be able to.
Any moment now, he'll let you know what it is.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sharing anymore. I guess that.
Nope.
Perhaps that's wise.
You're hoarding.
Yeah.
Show us your book.
Okay.
It's a book.
It is. Yeah. Okay. And we're back. So the host retro computing gift idea for this time is a book. It is called Home Computers, 100 Icons That Defined a Digital Generation. And is by Alex Wiltshire. And I think, where is the photographer's name? I will tell you the photographer's name soon. But it basically has both text and just great photos of a lot of sort of historical computers. So at least in the US, it is published and distributed by MIT Press. It seems to be in the UK, it is published and distributed by Thames and Hudson. I don't actually know exactly how the publication works, but in The Guardian, there was actually a pretty nice write-up about this. So this is the real thing that tells you something about it. So it's got some of the images from the book, and we've got a picture of a PET 2001, and I don't even know what that is in the middle, but like a terminal of some sort, and the Alice, the red weird angled Alice.
Yes.
I think that's a ZX Spectrum clone.
Yeah, I think, and I believe it's Australian.
Yes.
I might have held one. Like, I think somebody might have brought one to Kansas Fest, or else they just brought photos of it. I don't remember anymore. but so there's the write-up in The Guardian. Actually, it's sort of spoilers for the book. So it's got a bunch of the photos, and they're really nice. The photos are really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the book itself, also has text about all these computers, and it's going to be released May 19th in 2020. So it's not quite out yet, but you can pre-order it. And it is 256 pages.
I want that book.
Yeah. I think I
The
do
funny
too.
thing is, I'll find it. The Publishers Weekly did a write-up on it. And that's what I was looking at. And
did
they basically panned it. And I disagreed with them. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'll throw a link in the show notes as well. They say, after saying, like, here's what it is, and it does this, and it weighs 24, it has however many pages, a billion pages, and it says it covers all the winners and losers. But their conclusion is the photography, meanwhile, doesn't do the book any favors and has the sterility of an early 80s computer catalog. The result will appeal to the most avid computer aficionados, but leave the average user cold. I really disagree. And I can see maybe it wouldn't appeal to my mom or something, but I think I think they're misunderstanding who the target for this book is, and I think the photography is delightful and wonderful. I don't understand the Publisher Weekly write-up on this, so I'll put that.
Yeah,
I'll
it
put a
has a
link to the show
certain,
notes.
from the examples I see, I mean, there's a certain sterile vibe to them that fits, what it is that they're showing. These machines from the past, maybe it's stark under someone, under a non-retro observer. I don't know. They seem very nice to me.
Yep.
Yeah. Right, exactly. It looks like a museum write-up, largely. So if you on the Thames and Hudson site, actually, they have quite a lot of sort of sample pages that you can look at. And I mean, it makes it look actually even more interesting than the Guardian write-up made it look. So there is a significant text, and it is nicely laid out, and some definitely artistic shots and stuff.
Yeah.
Of like the Minivac 601 and.
Yeah, I'm not going to have an option. I have to get this book.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how much it is. Let's see. How much is it?
Yeah, I was kind of afraid when you said you said 200. You were talking about the page number. You said it's 290, and I was feeling the pain.
Oh, it's 256. A very, very sensible number.
What was that? Oh,
256 pages.
That is a good number. Oh, it's only
$30, 25 pounds.
Well, that's less than I thought it would be.
Yeah. So I think this is a very good retro computing gift idea for all of us to get ourselves.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Yeah. Probably won't be for sale forever.
Yeah, it might go out of print because it might be a small audience, because maybe everybody believes the Publishers Weekly or whatever.
It seems like books like
opinions.
this. I have a number of books, not unlike this, on the shelf. Some are, rather smaller productions. Some are bigger, but I found that typically they, after a few years, they're gone.
Yeah.
Get it while you can.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. So now, I guess maybe once you're done pre-ordering that, we can turn to eBay auctions, and I guess Blake, you have the first few.
I have a few. Let me bring up my tabs. The first one, and I dug a little bit and found out more than I initially had on this one. This is a humorous listing. It's the Darth Nexter as a Next Computer Mask 4000A monitor to help you create social distancing and smiles. Oh, and thank you for sharing. There's a picture of an individual who is taking a selfie with his phone, and he is wearing on his head, concealing his face, what is the back end of a 17-inch megapixel monochrome monitor, which looks it looks like it might have been something from Spaceballs, the movie, possibly. But it's funny. He describes taking social distancing to the next level. He says when people see him wearing the mask, they run. So people have hissed, laughed, they get the heck out of the way when they see it. So it appears this is actually a sale for the back shell of a 4000A Next monitor, and he's selling it. It looks like to apparently the seller was afflicted with the pandemic that we're seeing here, and he's funding things back with some sales. And when I did a little bit of digging, it turns out this is the man, or one of the people behind Black Hole Inc., the Next computer. They sold Next hardware it was an early online store that opened in '93, and they were Next peripherals, accelerators, and I've ordered things from them just almost basically 1993, different items, books, things like that. So this is the guy behind that store. I'm actually not sure. I didn't have a chance to see if the Black Hole Inc. store is still online, but apparently at least on eBay, this individual, and he has, as Paul is showing on the YouTube stream, sharing. He's got a lot of Next hardware that he's selling, which I imagine he's continued to sell over the years. I'm glad to hear. It seems that a bit of a rough patch, but it sounds like he's doing better after what he's gone through. But anyway, it looks to be an actual auction for the back shelf for $75. So if you have a Next megapixel screen that has a naked back, then you might want to grab this. And, so interesting, I thought.
Or good Halloween costume.
Yes, I'm sure. Think of how many Next fans would stop and see what you've done there.
Twos
well
of
done.
Next.
That's right.
Indeed. So
you can go with your friend who's just going as Peter Norton or whatever, right?
That's right. Okay, so on from there, if I can find the eBay section in my notes, which I don't seem to be doing. There we go. I found this. It's called a 3D Connection Spaceball 5000.
Good name.
Used very very good condition USB. It in of itself is not highly retro, but I remember back in the early 90s, it looks like a trackball to those that aren't looking at the stream, and it's a 3D controller. Basically, it's a ball that sits on a little pedestal. It's not like a trackball where the ball is half embedded in the body. It's sitting almost fully above. There's buttons to the left and the right, and it's one of these 3D controllers where you can do yaw, pitch type 3D movements. It was used for CAD and certain games, and I think you could also use it as a typical mouse ball. But this takes me back to like maybe in the late 80s, early 90s, where I encountered a number of these. I think of someplace I was working in the summer, I had one for CAD stuff, and I remember the ads, and some of the game magazines would talk about control Descent, the game 3D Descent,
right.
ball. So it's not extremely retro, but it just took me back to some of these some of those things. Do you guys remember this type of thing at all?
I don't remember that particular one, but I've seen that sort of thing quite a bit. Especially people would have them attached to like SGIs and stuff, doing all 3D things.
This
but
is
I have
USB.
fond memories of Descent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And not being able to control it, so I wish I had a bit of hardware.
Yep.
Yeah, you could. This would certainly make it better. Yeah, Descent was one of those joystick and the keyboard simultaneously. It was not an easy thing to control. But this one has USB, so this unit itself is not as old as some of the other ones that that might have used PC or Apple, analog input. But anyway, it took me back, and it's, I think, $22, if I'm not mistaken, in good condition from Connection.
Cool.
But so moving on to my last item, and this one is another kind of a mystery. I offer it here as a curiosity. It's $239 for a Cantel, I think it's pronounced Qantel, model. Let's see, 4150. And the item lists the serial number, and it says Vintage Computing, and not much else is stated. It's basically it's a little, very boxy, just a metal box. It looks almost like a Project Kit computer, but on the back there's a video connector. There's serial ports, parallel ports, keyboard. Looks like a PC style pre-PS2 keyboard port. And I noticed on the motherboard it has. I did a good bit of searching for Cantel, and I couldn't find any information. It has a 68,000 processor, which is interesting, and it's a single board system. And not to be confused, I was led astray. There's Quantel made a series of early graphics computers, but I don't believe there's any connection. There's no U in Cantel, and I can't tell what this is. I wondered if anyone, maybe somebody listening out there, would have some idea, or maybe one of the other roundtable folks would have a clue. But I find things like this that seem completely out of nowhere interesting. So.
I have no idea.
No idea. And the price was, I think, let's see, 239. And there's precious little, there's a one-line bit of information from clean environment, but untested. I don't think the seller has any idea what it is either. So, yeah, but $26 delivery to me in the DC area. But I'd be curious to hear more if any listeners might know what it is. There are some motherboard pictures, so that could maybe clue some people in, but I couldn't get anywhere with it.
Yeah, it doesn't look that complicated. So like it feels like it can't do that much. I mean,
yeah. The 68,000 is interesting because there were relatively less, I think, 68,000 systems. I feel like I know most of everything that used a 68,000, but never encountered this.
No,
and the starkness,
never heard of it.
just the fact that it's a metal box. It doesn't look like it had. There's no design element to it at all. So
in your server closet or whatever.
Curiosity, yeah. It has video keyboard port, so it seems to be a computer, like a general purpose sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully somebody out there might have some idea.
No, the only thing I've been able to find at all on a site called verycomputer.com back in 2002, somebody was cleaning out their closet and wondering what this thing was they found that was a little larger than an external modem, which was a Contel. But that's it. And there's a small mention of the company on one thing in Computer World that's on.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I mean, nothing. I've never heard of this company before.
Yeah, I spent about 30 minutes as I was eating lunch today, digging, and I didn't come up with anything.
Nothing. I can't even
I
really
bumped
tell
into-
what it is from looking at it.
Yeah, you see the 68,000, but the other chips, there's nothing that's clearly a graphics chip. I mean, it looks like a number of I/O.
But looking at its ports, it's got a port for video, a port for keyboard, a port for pointer, which would be like presumably a mouse type thing. I don't know. How weird.
Yeah, it's very curious. And again,
I do not know
for
this.
whatever reason, with the systems that I know, the fact that it has a 68,000 and we haven't heard of it makes it more bizarre to me. I mean, there's a lot of Z80 machines that I haven't heard of, for instance.
Right.
But
I'm sure. Well, Paul will buy it, and then he'll tell us what it is.
yeah, I was hoping Paul had one on his shelf. And
Nope. Have not
You
heard
can't
of
say that
this.
definitively, Paul. You don't know.
That's right. Okay.
It has
Odds
the
are
Dallas
relatively
clock
low.
chip. There's like a EPROM in there, but it's basic. Anyway,
Yep.
onward. That's it for me.
Excellent. Okay, let's see. Carrington, are you going to share your screen? or
Sure,
am I
I'll
going to
share some
your screen?
screens. Let me share it. First one I've got is a Mac SE30, new in original box. And then the person opens the box to show you all the stuff that's in it. Oh, so it's newish, kind of. It was already in a box that had been opened, but it is all boxed up. $4,000. That's a lot of money for a Mac SE that thinks it's all fancy. I know you SE30 people love them, but I'm gonna increasingly take a strong stance in favor of the regular SE because I never had an SE30. But it's pretty rare you get a kind of new looking one, and especially when you see the back of it, a lot of times you can't tell how discolored anything from this era is, and when you look at the back, you got to look at the difference between like the label and the plastic. And looking at this one, it's pretty good. So nice looking system. It's $4,000, but a lot of people have a bunch of money. So if you want one of these, here's a almost new-ish sort of one. Manufactured 1991. Paul, you gonna buy it?
No, but it is kind of neat to see it all sort of like still packaged up like that.
Yep.
You know, all pieces still together. I think the accessories thing isn't opened even; it's still shrink wrapped.
Right. And then the computer's in this showing the photo now, but it's clearly been kind of opened and resealed up, I think. But you're right, the accessories box is still there, and I don't know. It looks nice. $4,000 is a lot of money to spend on a classic Mac, but if you got it and you want to flaunt it, this is probably as nice of an SE30 as you're going to get. So there's that.
Although the capacitors may still have failed.
Oh, almost certainly they will. But welcome to the world of retro computing. There's only so many flavors of new we have to offer. Second choice I think this is the second choice. Second choice I'm going to show you is an Apple II dust cover. And it's a weird one. It's for the traditional Apple II, and it's a vinyl-looking dust cover. It's fairly typical, and I like dust covers. I kind of miss dust covers. I'd like to make a comeback. It's kind of cool having dust covers on your computers. Weird thing about this one is the main pictures all show it with an incredibly orange logo. But then when there's a photo that zooms in on the logo, boom, full on red.
Wow.
So I think it's actually red, and the photos are messed up in these ones with the green background or something, and it's just overloading the camera or something, because it's kind of weird. Because it's described as having a dust cover with red Apple on top. So I thought I wanted to point this out. It's $80. So, but it has no tears. It says no holes. It shows a photo on the underside. So it's pretty decent. I kind of like the not dark brown ones. Like this kind of thing is something you can get. But anyway, it's cool.
I noticed if you look at the last picture, like in the background of the green, there's a black and gold dress. Or is it blue and white?
I see what you're doing there.
No, it's black and gold.
Yeah. So it's a dust cover. It's $80. It shows all the corners, though nothing's ripped apart, so it's in decent shape, even the logo is not really cracked. Just the color is weird. So I thought some people might be seeing this on eBay and then scroll by because it looks incredibly faded in the initial color, the initial photo rather. But apparently it is actually red. But it's still $80, so ain't cheap. And Paul will buy both of my first two choices, and he will also buy my third choice, which is an odd thing that has popped up. And I don't know if you guys know this. It's the Dawon, maybe it would be pronounced Tauon PC1. It is simply Android computer. So it's a Android inside a keyboard. And as far as I can tell from the description, it comes pre-set up to play Timex Sinclair, Apple II, and some other retro computing thing. So it's just like a vintage computer all bundled. Not getting great reviews online for people who have already received them, saying it's a bit slow. And some people then yank the Android out of it and put in a Raspberry Pi. But it is as far as I can tell, you just get it and it's ready to play vintage computers. And some people might be interested in that kind of thing. And it's neat that it's a new player on the landscape. Have you guys heard of this thing before?
No.
No.
Not at all.
They have a whole bunch of listings popped up on eBay, so they got a bunch of, and it's all from the actual seller. This ST Sheep is there's also an official site for it. The advantage you're getting on eBay is instead of being $79 buy it now, you can bid for as low as $19. So, and they have a whole bunch of options right now, so you might just pick one and say, okay, well, I'll take it for $20. And for $20, it's hard to see how wrong you would go. It says It comes with, what were the ones? Oh, Amstrad, that was the other one. ZX Spectrum, Apple II, and Amstrad. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing I know about this is that it has been showing up on eBay. So I've looked at these listings a couple of times and wondered, whether this was something.
I mean, you can also just get a Raspberry Pi or get an Android and
Yeah.
do this
I mean,
yourself. But
It's just running emulators.
yep, it's
Right.
just emulators.
Or
I just
on Android. Same.
yeah. And what was interesting with this one is a lot of people are online pushing, Raspberry Pi, pushing Android things. But this pushes this as a retro computing solution. Like even in the description, it's Apple, Spectrum, Commodore, Amiga, Nintendo, all in one computer for retro gaming. Like this is positioned as a retro gaming thing. And I think that kind of makes it different, at least in its positioning. Or it could be that's simply how they smartly name the auctions when they stick them in the vintage computer section. I don't know. But it caught my eye because it's yet another way to play vintage computers. I don't know. I mean, the people buying it have given some reviews online, and everybody so far seems to say it runs very slowly. But how quick does it have to run to do Timex
Right.
like Sinclair things? I don't know.
The keyboard looks horrible, I have to say. But I mean, as far as how like, imagining how it feels, but I guess that's beside the point.
Yep. So anyway, that's it. You can maybe pick it up for as cheap as $20. Paul will buy 5 of them, and those are my auction choices.
Interesting.
Excellent. Let's see. So I think, is it just me left? Just
Yeah,
me.
but you're busy buying up all the things we've recommended. Buy it now, buy it now, buy it now, buy it now. Do it, Paul, do it.
All right. Okay, so this is it's now my screen, but with Carrington's auction on it. But okay, so the first one I have, I just wanted to say this before I actually move to the auction, but it is a pin featuring Apple logo, which is this. And I just thought it was
not
kind of fun.
the Apple logo,
Yeah.
but rather Apple logo, the programming language.
Yes,
It's all in the pause.
I kind of like the design is nice too, but this kind of somehow makes me think of like Spaceballs, the lunchbox, or or whatever. It's just kind of like generic Apple logo pin. So
I like it though. I like the triangles going. Like it's logo. It's if you know your turtle pin up, pin down language. It's logo.
yeah,
You know, a turtle's been there.
It's turtles all the way down with Apple logo.
yeah. Anyway, but so I thought I think it's a neat button in and of itself. It is a $5 starting bid, and
I suspect it will go for more because pins normally do, but for $5, that'd be a steal.
yeah. Okay, let's see. The next one I have, I don't know. I don't know if this is interesting or not. It's, in fact, I don't even know what the Apple, like this is the Power Macintosh 6500, I guess is what this is.
Okay.
So the auction title says Vintage Apple Macintosh 6500, and there's,
But there's not one of those in the photos.
it's actually pretty interesting. Like there's so the photos show it has a lot of stuff. It has like all the manuals and setup poster and CD-ROM discs. There's a keyboard and a mouse and one of those microphones that you end up with millions of. I don't know if you have this experience, but
None of the photos show the actual computer.
yeah, that's the thing. I was trying to remember, like, all right, well, what is the 6500? Because this is basically supposed to be like all the stuff that comes with the 6500. Has a TV video system with a remote that has a kind of like corroded battery compartment.
I hated the 6500. I did not like the look of it at all. I never used one. I just didn't like it from its look.
I don't know what it looks like.
It's that one that has the kind of it's a tower. It's the size of a 8500 or an 8100 kind of thing, but at that slightly rounded top. It's not the tooth. I think that one that people would call, but it's it could get a zip drive in the front of it. It's fairly generic from the late 90s era. So I think it was a
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, I really don't like
it'd be
it.
like a 250 to 300 megahertz kind of thing.
It looks like a melted version of the square ones, sort of.
It's the definitive. Okay. It's like it would 100%. Without even looking at it, 100%. It came with the 603E. A whole range of computers that I didn't like from Apple came with the 603E. It seemed to be like that was the chip they'd put in it if I wouldn't like the computer. So I'm putting money down now to say it comes with a 200 megahertz 603E. I'm now going to Google it, but I feel strongly about that.
I bet you're
Let's
right.
see. So it's this thing.
603E for the win, baby! But
That's
up
perfect.
to 300 megahertz, so faster than I would have thought. So, but so there was a 6400, I think, came before that. That was like the same thing, but with a I don't know. They're all kind of generic. It's from an era where it was hard to tell them apart. This would have had a centrist version. Or I think definitely would have had a. Actually, no, the 6500 just comes as a Power Mac, but the 6400 came with the Performer versions of the 9,000 different variants.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's what we need. But yeah, so I guess the thing about this auction that struck me was that they never put a photo of the computer in there at all.
Who knows what it looks like?
So there's we've got a keyboard and a mouse and someone's knee and all the auxiliary stuff, but they didn't actually mention this. They didn't show the 6500.
But I don't think it's in there.
Well,
It's just the stuff for a 6500.
Yeah, because I looked at the description. It says this is a lot for the 6500. Unfunctions is a lot for the Apple Macintosh 600 computer.
Yeah, I would still assume it came.
Included in the lot is a keyboard and mouse and microphone. Also a set of CDs.
okay, so maybe that's actually correct. Maybe I wasn't.
Man, you would assume the computer comes.
Yeah.
Because it should be then vintage Apple Macintosh 6500 stuff.
Accessories,
not just,
yeah.
accessories or boo to this person. Boo to you, ICCTP2, if you're listening live.
Not cool.
I don't like your computer, and I wouldn't have bought it even if it was in the auction. So there.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, this reminded me a little bit of Garfield minus Garfield. I don't know if this is familiar to you, but
Yes.
this
Awesome. Those are classic.
I hadn't thought about this for a long time, but it is. It's basically just someone who takes Garfield strips and then kind of like edits out Garfield, so you just have often a bunch of like blank panels, and then John Arbuckle.
And John says it makes John look like a total lunatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the only acceptable form of Garfield.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
That's great.
The next thing that I had is a Apple IIc color composite video and audio connector cable, and I just thought this is sort of interesting just in the fact that it exists. It's not a retro thing. It is, I think it's made by GDO Inventor, who makes a lot of this kind of stuff, little cables and power supplies and stuff, newly fabricated. But what it does is it plugs into the sort of audio video port, I guess, in the back of the 2C. But a couple of those pins, one of them is audio and one of them is composite, even though there's a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other pins there too. And so this just sort of isolates those out so that you can use them.
But aren't there already ports for those?
There are. So that was one of the things that I was wondering about. I wonder if there's anything better about the composite signal that's coming out this port, or maybe it just allows you to drive a second monitor.
Oh, right. Okay.
The 2C it doesn't have an audio out in RCA, but on the front it has an 1/8 inch headphone jack, for the audio. But I guess if you wanted to, people didn't typically hook up an Apple II to an external system. I guess this makes it slightly easier. And you're right, if it could be, like there's a video. He used to be called the iBook guy. There's a YouTube person now. He calls himself the retro guy. Or do you know who I'm talking about? He
Nope.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's a guide on even the Amiga 1000 has composite out. He installed a small, breakout that tapped into the RGB line, and it provided a much cleaner, composite out. So it could be that there's a little electronics in there that makes it cleaner. I don't know.
I can see that. Yeah. Because there's that video. This is plugging into that expander port then that's on the back of
the port was okay. It was used for like if you're using it in Europe, I think there was a PAL adapter that plugged in there, and also that was the adapter that the Apple the LCD, remember Apple had a little portable LCD, and also I think Video 7 made a RGB adapter that plugged in there that you could hook up like the Apple Color RGB monitor too.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
And it's $12, so what do you have to lose?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, okay, let's see. I like this. The next one is world's slowest PC, running at only 2 megahertz. And there's it's a nice little box. It actually has a little thing on the front that shows the megahertz, and it reads 2. And there's a bunch of screenshots kind of demonstrating the veracity of the 2 claim. And inside, here we go. So there's PC Detailed Informator. Copyright 1995 FSMC. General info. Intel 486. General processor clock 2 megahertz. This PC is running at 0.3 XT speeds.
That's hilarious. And that chart is great. Look how slow this computer is.
This CPU is below the scale on the landmark system speed test.
So I guess if you've got like a DOS game you just haven't been able to beat, finally, this thing will let you beat anything.
It was in fact specifically created to be slow. So this is the least I can do, says the thing. I cannot imagine a computer crawling slower than this. And so this is not, it's not that it shipped in this state. It's that this seller actually put this together to be slow.
I love that.
So it takes 50 seconds to reach system OK. Booting to command prompt in MS-DOS 6.22 takes 2 minutes and 52 seconds.
This is delightful.
Yeah. So I think it's a neat idea. I mean, it's a $220 starting bid. So
I like how in the description it says he specifically chose the 486 SX25 because it has neither clock doubling nor an FPU. Got the most crippled version of the 486.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Anyway.
The graphics card is also a slow 256 kilobyte piece with enabled wait state for good measure. Just like I'll show you. This is delightful.
Yeah.
What a glorious auction.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Very impressive.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see. I came across this thing. It is the auction title is, I think this vintage CalKit item is for a Commodore computer untested, and it's a little kind of like plastic thing that has a DE9 connector on the end of it. Nothing else, just this connector. Looks like it is mildly melted. Actually, though I think actually it isn't melted. I think what that is some sort of like epoxy or something. Because what it is in fact a dongle. It's a key. It's a software key for CalKit. CalKit, which is a Commodore 64 kind of like business software thing.
Looks like a spreadsheet.
Yeah, so has spreadsheet and some other stuff. I went off of eBay to find one example of this. This is CalKit being sold in the Mississauga region on Kijiji for $10.
Very, very close to me. Mississauga is
exactly.
attached to Toronto.
So in fact, that's why I wanted to put this in. So I think that
Want me to go get that for you?
No, I think you need to you need something to fill up your space, and there's probably nothing more suitable than a Commodore 64 spreadsheet.
Oh, excellent. Yes.
Excellent.
But
I can almost guarantee 2 weeks from now when we record again and you look behind me, there will not be a C64 back there. Like I strongly feel it is unlikely.
I also found an ended auction on eBay for CalKit. So the batteries included is the company that makes it. I think they made actually a number of things. And in this ended auction, there's a little photo of CalKit, and on the disk sleeve it says, "Attention, this program no longer requires a key for the joystick port." So I think what I can conclude from all of this is that there is currently a key for the joystick port for sale on eBay. There used to be a version of CalKit that didn't actually need the key anyway. And the one in Ontario might need the key. So it could be that.
That's how Ontario rolls, man.
Anyone use CalKit? I doubt it.
No.
Nope.
Okay. And then I guess not the last thing, second to last thing, is a little set of Next coffee cup and what people always call a shot glass, although it is not made of glass. So a shot cup.
This entire auction listing does not make a mugshot joke.
No, I I don't understand that.
Like, what? It's right there.
But I think these are pretty cool, actually.
Crazy that they didn't put this with a little thing behind it saying how tall they were and put like little numbers in front. Come on, you could have sold this for so much more with a creative auction.
Yeah.
I might buy them and then relist it as mugshots. Next computer mugshot.
So this is a starting bid of $28, and that does not actually seem like very much. These are really nice. They have the kind of like, it's a white. They're both white with this sort of old style Next logo on it. So a black cube with the color NEXT.
I would use this mug. I like this mug.
Yep.
Yeah.
Too.
I actually had this mug and I lost it in the kitchen at one of my
How big is your kitchen?
one of my workplaces.
I see.
Forgot that I had left it.
Scrooge McDuck here. I don't know. I haven't seen that wing of the kitchen in years.
It's gone. Sad.
Yeah, I like it though. I mean, like, yeah, it's
RCR bidding war. Do
very
it.
tempting.
Do it.
Okay. And then the next thing, the next and last thing that I have is something that was sort of inspired by one of the posts that was on our Facebook page. David posted some photos of a mouse that had a little flip up top, and underneath it was a dialing keypad. But so I searched for mouse phone, and apparently there are mouse phones. Mice phone. So this is a mouse phone exactly for smart people. Technology making life easier, and it's a mouse with a dialing pad on it.
That's also a phone.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's got an RJ11 to
It's
plug it in.
it's an actual phone.
Oh my
that you just pick up and like you're Get Smart or
Wait,
something. This is
do you-
amazing.
Do you pick up the mouse and talk? I mean, I saw the headset.
Headset.
Can you pick up the mouse and hold it and use it like a? Does that little?
I hope so.
Like maybe the trackpad flips. Does it flip up?
I don't know that this one does. It might well require that
No,
thing, but I would love that if
I think because it's got.
Yeah,
if
you
you
hold
look
it.
at
There's no flip. At the bottom is a little microphone.
I was gonna say there's a
and the top
microphone
of
thing right at the
buttons
bottom.
Is the
Is there a
earpiece.
microphone at the bottom?
Yep, microphone has
this.
and the top
You're
between
right.
the buttons is the ear.
Yeah.
Like you hold it up to your head.
Just like,
Talk it
hello.
on the mouse. I can't hear you. I've got a mouse in my ear.
That's very cool.
This is the most delightful thing you have picked in years.
Excellent.
I can't tell if "cool" is the word or.
Cool is the word.
Yeah.
I'll tell you it is. I wanted this for my office at work.
Well, you know where it is. It is in Toronto.
Is it really?
Hey,
And it would cost $500 to ship to me, according to this. But
Oh, come on. It
you
costs
could probably just go
$500
pick
to
it up.
ship to me, too. How can it be in Toronto and it's $499.95 shipping to me?
I hadn't noticed that before just now.
What?
I don't.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Is there another Toronto like in Australia?
A parallel Earth? Are you tapped into ebay.nothere.com? Like, wow, okay. But certainly, it must be a mistake. Somebody's typed it in. Or
Yeah. Well, and I wonder. I mean, like, I don't know
Exactly
to what extent you could go outside now, but
I love the sort of tagline, exactly for smart people.
Exactly.
yeah. The mouse phone is an innovative product combining the telephone and mouse. Yes.
Two things
cool.
that were meant to go together.
I love
There needs to be more things like mouse toaster.
it. Exactly.
So before we leave the eBay, I'll say I've spent the entire time that we've been going through eBay searching more on the Cantel
Oh yeah.
computer. And I found that I didn't find what it was, but I found that, and I put a link in the show notes to this. There's a page. Cantel still has a website that's not SSL, and it looks pretty old, and it talks about corporate history. But they apparently made mini computers long ago, and I can't find out what this is, the 68,000 based one. But I searched for some of the chips on the board, and I found that there was a one chip, a CRT 9041, is a video attribute controller that's VT100 compatible. There is a UART, like a communications, UART controller, which would sit in between the CPU and the serial port. There is a double row buffer chip, and there is a a CRT 9007 is a video processor chip. So, I mean, it had a video port. Clearly, it's got some video hardware. So, I didn't figure out what it is, but it sounds like the VT100 compatible. I wonder if it was some sort of a maybe a terminal box that interfaced with the company's mini computers that they made. And I found that it looks like the year was 1973 that they list an operating system for the Cantel mini computer called BEST, the Business Executive Time Sharing, an OS. It was in this OS catalog of operating systems. So I'm going to guess that it's a CRT-less terminal type interface box.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, it'll be interesting to know. It does turn out to be, maybe in the end less interesting. But
so do we all.
Yeah, that's right. That's all of our fate.
In the chats, I was trying to figure out what the right name would be for the PowerMac 6500. That awful looking thing.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher C in the chat said laundry hamper, and that's exactly right. That's perfect. Well done. Yes, laundry hamper.
I in fact took a photo of a laundry hamper. It was because it looked like one of the cheese grater, like the old cheese grater.
Oh, sure, right.
Mac.
Nice.
Like I was in a thrift store or whatever, and there was a hamper shaped like that, and I just figured, all right, I must photograph this because it looks like a Mac. Also, people in the chat are saying that the 8-bit guy is the person that we were trying to remember.
Ah, that's right. I think he used to go as the iBook guy, and then he became more general, the 8-bit guy.
Yeah.
Right.
He's pretty good.
Actually, so we were talking about the holding the mouse up to your ear, and I actually just listened to this. I might have put this in my closing notes anyway, but it sort of fits in here. Panic, this company that we have talked about a few times, has a podcast now. And I've listened to a couple of them. The most recent one is called Totally Side Talkin', and it is about the Nokia N-Gage.
Oh, that thing. Talk about a failure.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually know much about this, but apparently, like one of the ridiculous things about it, and I'm actually not finding a very good photo of it, of the actual N-Gage here, but
It has all these buttons around like the outside. You hold it like a steering wheel,
You
kind
held
of.
the edge to your face between your mouth and your ear.
Yeah.
well,
And it had
that's
that. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I think the thing you were just saying is was the thing about it. So it had if you were going to actually talk on the thing, you end up sort of like sticking it out, like
Yep.
it sticks out like I think all the phone machinery is up kind of on the
And they're
on the flat edge.
they're like this big, which listeners at home, imagine I'm holding up a thing that's big. They're larger than you think, and you hold it like a pizza slice to the side of your head. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had that weird. It's squarish. I think it's slightly portrait oriented display. So it was very awkward. I remember. Yeah, it was terribly panned. I used to see games for it at GameStop that they would have a demo of this horrible device, like glued to the wall, and it would be running some attract mode game demo. But terrible.
Yeah.
Since it's Nokia, it's probably still running fine. Like that's the one thing; it's completely bulletproof. Can't kill it, even if you want to.
So the Panic episode 5, Totally Side Talkin', sort of talks about
Totally side talking.
I mean, essentially, what happened. The plot here was essentially that this holding this thing up to your ear, like this, was so ridiculous that it became essentially a meme even before there were really memes. So there's like all these, like people would generate these photos of like people holding things up to their ear.
I remember this.
And so there was a site called, I think, Side Talkin', or that actually would it would collect these photos. So because there's no Twitter to post them on, it would collect the photos that people would send in, and arrange them in galleries and so forth. And and it turned out, I mean, like, so that the Panic connection is actually that cable. This is cable site. That the Panic guy is actually the one who, or like Panic co-founder is one of the ones who actually put this together. But anyway, so
Those pictures are great.
Yep, and the Panic. I haven't listened to all of these. I've listened to these last couple. There's another episode on Audion, which we've talked a little bit about, and I think this is as far back as I've gotten. But oh no, there's one. I think the episode 1 is about the Goose Game, actually. Yeah. So, because Panic also is the publisher of the wildly successful Untitled Goose Game. So, anyway, I will use this opportunity to plug someone else's podcast. But yeah, take a look at that, or take a listen to that. I suppose it's pretty interesting.
Cool.
Okay, so that ends the discussion of the mouse phone, I guess.
For now.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how long we've been recording for a while. So I guess we are at closing discussions, and so I don't know, Blake, do you have any sort of closing thoughts?
Nothing revolutionary. I guess. I think I've been saying this every time, and it's shifted into overdrive. Obviously, I've been spending a little more time at the house, and so I'm, doing a lot more BBSing and IRCing, and trying to take advantage of. There's been a lot of online virtual museum tours, that kind of thing. I've been, doing some of those things to entertain myself. But yeah, just and a few little random retro things going on here and there. The subreddit r/retro battle stations has contests that are happen every month or every couple months, and I feel like there's a couple that I've participated in. One currently it's like Pizza Box Month, which is pizza box style systems like Mac LC kind of thing, and I don't recall what the last one, but that's fun to highlight a machine or two in the collection. But yeah, just going on.
Carrington, do you have any
I got nothing.
thoughts?
Nope. I have
No
no
thoughts.
thoughts. I'm an empty void. I want to have my mouse up to my ear when I speak now. I want that mouse.
That is very
$500
cool.
shipping is outrageous.
Well,
Nope. I want more time alone. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and everybody keeps making me do stuff, and I can't just even get a day to myself, and it's driving me crazy. I'm not going out and not social distancing, but I'm probably the only person in North America saying, "God, I could use some more privacy." Just want everybody else. Everybody else is freaking out, and so I feel like I'm having to be a caregiver for everybody who can't stand to spend 2 days alone in their own thoughts. And meanwhile, I'm desperate to spend a day not speaking to people. So that's how my quarantine's going. Not enough quarantine.
Gotcha.
well, good luck,
Yeah.
Jack. How's your closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, I have very little retro computing stuff, but I've been doing it all with my oceans of time that I do have all to myself.
You suck.
I have some projects in the queue that need to be done, but I'll get to them. I have gone as far as hooking a few things up to my big TV that I bought a couple months ago, and it takes me back to all the games I was playing on computers when I was younger, and I had maybe a 19-inch color television I was plugging these things into, and now when you have this 65-inch LCD, it's just oh my god! If I had I wouldn't have dared to dream of such a thing when I was 13 that would ever exist in my life. And then here it is. It's yeah, that's amazing. That's cool.
I was thinking the other day, first place I ever owned was a loft. Oh, actually, no, I rented it. I didn't own it. And it was a commercial place. It was just an old building that I was basically a squatter in. I had rented. I had signed a commercial lease saying you wouldn't live there. I'm like, sure, I'm not going to live there. I just moved right in. And it was just me and homeless people squatting in the building. It was just complete squalor. And you could see the wooden slats on the floor and the ceiling. You could see through them. People would drop stuff and it would go down multiple floors. It was crazy. But when I lived in this place, it was 1,200 square feet, 1,500 square feet of just one big room. And I had, I think, a 24 or 27-inch television that I must have sat 200 feet from or something ridiculous. And it was yeah, this is fine. I can see that. It was great. And nowadays, I'm what's happening? It was a little tiny thing. It's crazy. And at the time, it felt like this enormous television. I couldn't believe how big it was that I could just sit way over there. It's all good. And now I'd be that's not even good enough to be a computer monitor. I need 6 of those on my desk. Times change.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul?
It's definitely. I know that it's definitely weird to see some of these vintage things that I remember playing on the little screens blown up to whatever they are. That size television. I don't even know how many inches these TVs are anymore. They're just they're big. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have actually still had kind of like a lot of work to do. So I mean, like I haven't had much time. But as I've mentioned before, I'm like largely, sort of quarantined away from all my retro computing stuff, unlike everybody else. So, so there's not much here to
I
operate.
have my
with,
whole
but-
collection in the room behind me.
Yeah. Yes. Very good. How's the plant? Is the plant the
Plant's
moved
dead.
the thing?
Plant is dead and gone.
Yeah.
I have the table it once sat on.
Very nice.
I should get a little plaque in memory of Plant.
Planty.
Poor Planty. Oh, don't even say that. My girlfriend, who lives in Canada, totally a real person, we get a real Christmas tree every year. And I made the mistake of like naming the tree the first year. It was like this weird thing. I'm like, oh, poor little Squashy. And then she didn't want to get rid of the tree because now it has a name. I'm like, it's 3 weeks after Christmas. It's dying. It's going to burst into flames spontaneously. Squashy's got to go. But now it's this thing where we have to name the tree and then she never wants to let it go.
Yeah.
It was a mistake. It was such a mistake. Don't name your plants, kids. Don't name your plants.
So, well, yeah, and if you have anything in the refrigerator or whatever that you don't think you want to eat, just start naming it. But very nice. Yeah. No, I mean, I think I've. Speaking of that, I have succeeded in my getting a grocery delivery windows a couple times. That's a thing now. That you have to sit there.
So that's a thing now.
Yeah. Do you have to sit there and keep refreshing? Like, oh, there's a window. Oh. But by the time I clicked through, it went away again. That has happened several times where there's been a time, 2 to 4 p.m. or whatever. I'll click the button, and then it's not there anymore when I get to like the next screen.
You're hungry enough, you'd click quicker.
Yeah,
That's what they think.
that's right. Yeah, it seems like I'm hoping that the sort of efficiency level, the adapting level, kind of goes up because I mean, it's rough. I mean, like I really appreciate the existence of the people who are carting these things around, but at the same time, I would rather know that it's that my time is 6 days from now than to have to sit there and keep refreshing.
Right.
Yeah, my wife has been very good at that. She in the morning, like 6 o'clock, is the beginning of the window for the people that we use, and so we've had I think every 10 days or so we've had a few. So that's makes things easier.
Yeah,
It's also just weird that that's now a thing everyone does.
We've actually been doing that for almost 20 years.
Oh, that's why she's so good at it.
Well, we didn't have to get up at
Didn't have
crack
to
of
compete.
dawn and hit the button like a machine, like e-sniping to get your groceries delivered.
Yeah, Paul, your eBay skills should be
Yeah, they should point
this.
point your eBay sniper at it. There's a good business idea actually. Creating targeting the grocery items, but
Actually, that'll probably be a business. Now you say that, I bet you there's a service out there that says we do it. We hire some dude who's going to sit there and we have a farm of people just click and refresh. When do you want it? There's
Maybe
going
I
to be
should
scalpers for this kind of thing.
I shouldn't have said it out loud.
Nope.
I just go off and build my
Grocery scalping, wave of the future.
grocerysnipe.com.
Oh, register.
Yeah.
Okay, domain cheap. Risha.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to figure out a way to make a pun out of that. Parsnipe. I don't know.
Okay.
That's good.
But anyway, but yeah. So otherwise, I can see outside from here. So all right, is that everybody? I think that's all of us.
That's all four.
All closed our thoughts. So that's it for this show. You can find the show notes for this and all the RCR shows at rcrpodcast.com. You can discuss the show in the forums at vcfed.org/forum/forum.php. You can follow RCR on Twitter at RCR Podcast. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/RCR Podcast. You can send feedback to feedback@rcrpodcast.com. We are a member of the Throwback Network at throwbackreviews.net. And write a review on iTunes. Why not? And until next time,
Retro compute.
Dude.
Grocery snipe.
yes. Okay, yeah. Excellent.
Good stuff.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Screensaver kicked in. I will end the broadcast. Goodbye,
Goodbye,
everybody.
broadcast.
See you next time.
All right.